Yo, and welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Morgan. Happy Thursday and happy episode
206.
206.
Question mark, I believe. What's up, everyone? Happy fucking September.
September.
It's changing your life. Remember. Yeah.
September.
Yes. It's
When
finally here.
September ends.
You know what?
That one too.
I did join your Swiftie cult for like pause. It was
Did
for my
you?
autumn camera rolled crumb dump.
I only saw it on Facebook. I didn't see
It's
the
got music on there. It's got with you a moment in time. Anyways,
Look at you.
moving on. There's another cult that I have joined that shook the shit out of me.
Newly discovered.
Recommended group for you. CAC Monopoly. What is it?
Gift and trade.
Gifted trade. I'm like, members, Seth, Morgan. I'm like, what the fuck? So I click on it and I'm in there and I'm reading all y'all's posts. And I was bent
We're grinders,
over,
baby.
cackling. And then I made a post. I'm like, what the hell?
I was so tired. So there's like a normal, like, what you do in Monopoly, you trade stickers. When you trade, when you finish a sticker set, you get dice. You want to finish all of the sticker sets. There's like 23 of them. And there's a big Facebook group that Monopoly owns, and it has like 50,000 people in it. So it's hard to get people to trade with you on there.
Yeah.
I see our listeners hustling every day. I'll be scrolling through that group and it'll be Seth, Gidget, Callie. Like everybody is on there. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm done watching them be hustlers. I'm going to make my own fucking group. And I did.
And she did. So if you are a Monopoly hustler, you
join
can
CAC Monopoly Gift and Trade on Facebook.
And the cover photo is like an error.
It's an error because I was pissed off that day because it had an error sign. It wouldn't let me on the game. But what's funny is I didn't make the group private, and then I just changed the settings because it was pulling like Luke in, and Noodle was commenting, and I was like, okay, I'm embarrassed. And now it's private. So there's no questions or anything. I just have to accept you.
It was so funny. I was literally cackling, and everyone was commenting on my post, join the cult. Join the cult. So I'm like, you guys are peer pressuring
I didn't
me.
see it until a day later, and I commented and I said, join or mind your business.
And they're bullying me in the Patreon group messages. Yeah, they all are. Taylor, join Monopoly right now. I'm
That's
like,
hilarious.
I've never even played it
it's so
ever
good.
before. I don't even know. I wouldn't even know where to begin, and I'm not. I'm standing firm.
I'm upset because I made that group and I'm what's called gold locked right now, meaning I can't trade any cards.
No.
Because I've traded all of mine except gold cards, which are untradeable. So now I just have to collect them.
Yeah, you got to recollect.
But it's fine. I'm doing it for the rest of you. I'm sending you bitches stickers.
Yeah.
So your weekend.
My weekend, I went to Eduardo and Caitlin's wedding.
Awesome.
And I had a great time catching up with a lot of like Cleveland people that Logan went to school with. So technically Bradley people. And like my old friends that I know there. I had a great time. It was good. I was so exhausted.
It was good.
I was very exhausted. We went and helped set up and like decorate the morning of, and my God, it was beautiful, if I do so say myself.
Yeah, I did. I saw pictures from Eduardo's uncle's Facebook post. I'm not sure how I landed there. I think just by tag.
Yeah.
And I was scrolling through. I went to his profile. I was scrolling through. It looked beautiful.
It was a beautiful wedding. It was great. And I got to hang out with David and Kitten, and we had a great time. And then after that, we went out on the river for a little bit. Same day as you. We did a little river action.
Boat day.
I delivered a fern to a resurrection fern, to be specific, to Jacob, my neighbor who does Let's Botanize on Instagram. It's because when we drove down on Thursday, because we had to do the rehearsal dinner, we left at 2. Of course, I was the last one in the car. I locked the door behind me, get in the car with Logan, and I'm like, yo, did you see Nona? I saw Ophi and I saw Mila, but I didn't see Nona before we left. And you guys know if you have cats, like you can leave for 3 days and be totally fine.
Right.
So that's what we were planning to do. Of course, we have like Jacob and Morgan and Aaron that could run over there if something happened, but we just put a camera on the inside where we can see like how they are. And he's like, yeah, I saw Nona. She was upstairs. I was like, well, I was just upstairs and I didn't see her in a normal spot, but like you saw her. And he's like, yeah. We get down there, we do the rehearsal dinner, all that stuff. We're driving home from Chattanooga to get back up to Cleveland at like 10. And I'm on the Ring camera scrolling through, and there's not a single action shot of Nona.
Nona.
I see Ophi, I see Mila, and like, you know, Nona and Ophi look so much alike that it's like, okay, for the most part,
That could be Nona.
It could be.
It's a fuzzy
right.
camera.
But then I called the cats to come to the camera, and they all stood up on the island staring at me. And I was like, okay, that's Ophi, that's Mila, no Nona. And Nona would come if we called.
Mm-hmm.
We called Jacob, and we're like, yo, can you run over there and just go see? I know it was like 10:30, almost 11 at this point. I was like, I know it's so late, but like, I'm scared that she got out or that she's trapped somewhere and needs help. He's like, immediately, Uncle Jacob's on it, like runs down the street. I just see through the inside camera, I could see out the front windows, and he's got like a flashlight out there. And he goes around, he gets inside, and he's like walking by our back bathroom, and he hears Moo! She had been locked in the bathroom.
Oh my
that entire
gosh.
time. Luckily didn't like shit, piss, fuck up anything. But
Fucking
like,
Nona.
so I told him, I was like, you're getting a fern, bitch.
Yep, and you're
getting a fern. So I like extracted one off this tree that he had pointed out one time and brought it up for him to have a sample of in his lab. And so
Very
we did
nice.
that. Yeah, so I had to deliver a
Fucking
fern.
Nona.
Then I went and saw baby Reese Cade. Bailey had her baby. So now Crew's a big brother. And
I can't believe it. They look identical.
twins.
They're twins.
She literally cloned Crew.
Yeah.
But I do see so much more of Bailey
Do you?
in Reese. Like in little things that he does, I'm like, that's mama right there. Like
Yeah.
some like expressions that he makes, I'm like, Jesus Christ,
The
Crew.
first ones always go to the dad. For
I
some
know.
reason.
Me. The firstborn looked just like my
Yeah.
dad when I was born. They were like, oh my God.
Yeah, and then Marley was a spinning replica of my mother.
Yeah.
So
Anyways, tell us about your weekend.
yeah, so my parents came.
I talked for 10 minutes. Okay.
My parents came and we went to dinner the first night. They brought the dogs. We went on a lot of dog walks. We went to Lake Norris, rented a boat. I'm going to be telling a hilarious story about my father on Pipe and Hot Goss. So I'll save that for that. On Sunday, we went to the Big Kahuna Wing Festival. We were actually going to go to the Hot Air Balloon Festival.
Yeah.
But it was raining and they said it was weather permitting if they were going to launch the balloons. So we ended up not doing that. We went to the Wing Festival instead. And it was a muddy fucking mess, honestly.
No.
Like it was kind of like really poorly put together, personal opinion.
Yeah.
And so really that was it. I mean, we watched a lot of movies, went on a lot of fucking walks.
Yeah.
Boat day was fun. And then Monday they packed up and left. And then yesterday I spent the entirety of the day cleaning. And then I woke up this morning and I was like, my fucking ear hurts. Went to work. It hurt all day. I couldn't eat. I could barely swallow. Anytime I opened my mouth, it was just shooting like excruciating pain down my neck. So I was like, I'm going to try to go to employee health. Well, they were like, sorry, no sick patients today.
I'm not sick. I got a damn ear infection.
I was like, just give me antibiotic, please. Someone help
Yeah.
me. They're like, we can see you tomorrow at 1. I'm like, not going to work. So I went to urgent care after work today, and I do have an ear infection, middle ear behind my eardrum. So they put me on some antibiotics, and they're horse pills.
Literally, they're bigger than her eyes.
No, Taylor said, how big are they? And I held them up to my eyeballs. I said, they're this big.
That was crazy.
That was crazy.
Like eyebrow to cheekbone ratio.
yeah, like huge pills. It was
pills.
just so unnecessary. They don't need to be like that.
No.
Or give me
She
something
had to take
else.
2. And she's being so dramatic about it.
Yeah. I don't, and I probably won't finish it. I know you have to finish the antibiotic pack, but those 20 of them, please.
20 of
10
them?
days. It's a huge antibiotic
Oh my
pack.
God.
Usually they're 6-7 days.
Knock it out, though. You don't want shit in your head.
10 days. Yeah. I text Taylor. I'm like, hey, might delay the recording today. My ear, I give her the rundown. I'm like, my ear's been bothering me. Try to get into employee health. They don't have anything open. I'm going to go to urgent care if this ibuprofen doesn't kick in and like starts helping me. If it kicks in, don't worry about it. Taylor's like, ear hurts. So mine was kind of, when did that happen? Because that's so weird. Because mine was kind of hurting too. And I was like, I don't know. I think it was just kind of the lake. I said, but it's really been bothering me. And like, I do get ear infections, but like not like this, not like in pain that I was in today. And she says to me, yeah, I mean, definitely go because that's your ear. You'll literally die. I said,
It'll get to your brain and you'll literally die.
I said, not the death diagnosis. And she was like too close to the brain for comfort.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I was like, fair enough. I'll make an appointment.
yeah, that was
So
funny.
yeah, Taylor
With the
gave me the death diagnosis
Death.
today for my ear, but
Sure
we're
did.
good because I got the horse pills.
Yep.
Yeah, but you have something for us.
Oh yeah, I do. By the way, my ear is just a big sit behind my ear, and it hurts.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, she was like, "Oh, mine started hurting too," but then I realized it's just a giant fucking zit.
It's a huge zit. Like and it's at the crease, like where you can't tell it is.
Yeah.
I thought my ear was gonna fall off. Guys, I forgot to do it in the intro, but I'm going to do it right before Morgan's story, right after we get creepy, and we're gonna talk about the giveaway from Angel Wings and Healing Things, aka Susan, the official psychic angelic medium of Creeps and Crimes podcast. And guys, this is a big giveaway. You don't want to miss out on this.
I looked at Taylor and I said, "Can we enter?
Can we be a part of that?" Anyways, let's make sure you listen to the part right before Morgan's story. We will get to the episode now.
If you're driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pull that shit up.
And let's get
Creepy! Okay, Morgan, before you get started, we gotta tell them about the Angel Wings and Healing Things, Susan's big birthday bash giveaway.
Yay, happy birthday to our queen, first and foremost.
Birthday to our queen, Miss Susan, the psychic angelic medium of Creeps and Crimes podcast. You guys know her very well. The winner will get a Stanley with Angel Wings and Healing Things logo sticker on it and a free 30-minute session with Susan for whatever you want. So if you're like a reoccurring, if you're a first time, you're going to get this free session.
You want to talk to your dog?
Whatever you want to do. You want to talk to your spirit guides, whatever. You can do a free 30-minute session with her. And the rules are going to be posted along with this giveaway on her Instagram, which is now, we updated the @ finally.
I saw that. Susan
_ AWNHT. Angel Wings and Healing Things.
Link it.
Yeah, it'll be in our description on our Instagram post. So this is what the post is going to say, and you're going to go look for it. And it says, "For my birthday this Sunday, I wanted to do a giveaway for my sweet clients, either current or future. The winner will get a Stanley with an Angel Wings and Healing Things logo sticker and a free 30-minute session. The rules are listed below."
Rule number 1, make sure you're following Susan _ AWNHT. Then tag 2 besties that you think you've had a past life with. And 3, share this on your story and make sure to tag Susan.
Yes. And that will get you 1 entry. Now, to get 2 bonus entries, you can, and you've had, this is like for her past clients that have had a session with her prior, leave her a review on her Facebook page for Angel Wings and Healing Things. And once it's been posted, just take a screenshot of the review and DM it to Susan on her Instagram, which is, again, @ Susan _ AWNHT.
The winner will be picked Monday night, which is September 9th, 2024, and announced on Tuesday, September 10th, 2024.
Good luck, queens. I'm so excited for like.
I want to be in it.
I want to be in it. I want to get the Stanley. I want to get the
Love
session.
Shack fancy Stanley with the Susan sticker
I know.
on it.
That's all I want.
That's a collab.
That's all I want. So guys, make sure you go get a part of this giveaway, because she's never done anything like this before. This is her first time.
Yeah.
So if it's good, hopefully she'll do more and you guys can get more free sessions.
Free sessions. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right.
Alrighty. So today, Taylor and I are going full creeps mode.
Yeah.
Full creeps mode. And we are going to be covering the Rendlesham forest incident.
Okay.
Before we get started, I do want to note here that a lot of these stories aren't really well reported on, and the dates are inconsistent throughout, but you'll get some clarification when Taylor breaks down these police letters from the Suffolk Constabulary. That'll give us a better timeline, and we'll try to walk you through it then. But just keep that in mind if you're like, oh my God, they said the 26th and now they're saying the 27th. There is inconsistencies throughout, which could possibly lead to debunking.
Yeah, it causes a lot of debunking, but we try to, it makes it a little bit more clear when we go through all the dates of the drama. But also too, you guys have to remember when you get into this, because I don't know where I'm going to put this at. We're coming back to tell you this, by the way, because we realized like halfway through, we were like, okay, we need to make sure that you guys know about these dates. There's still a lot that's coming out and shit's redacted, so like there's like timelines and shit that seem off in the overall reporting, but it'll come together soon. Okay, Enjoy.
James Peniston was born in Monroe, Wisconsin in 1954. Immediately after high school, he enrolled in the United States Air Force in 1973 and was one of the few that was selected for special duty with the SAC Elite Guard in Omaha, Nebraska. The SAC Elite Guard was basically a U.S. Air Force police unit that would provide security for the SAC headquarters, SAC, not SEC, SAC headquarters, or the Strategic Air Command. James, or often goes by Jim, moves to Omaha, Nebraska, and then works security for the SAC command, general officers, congressmen, and the President of the United States.
Oof.
In 1975, he volunteered to jump over the pond to be reassigned to the RAF, or the Royal Air Force, in Alconbury, England, where he would work flight operations. Now, this was like a joint, collab post. It was a collab post between the Royal Air Force and the United States Air Force. He was there for 2 years before being reassigned to the Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana as a flight security controller for the protection and launch readiness of 20 Minuteman ICBMs, or intercontinental ballistic missiles. In 1980, he received orders to the very famous tactical fighter wing at the Royal Air Force, England. This was the largest tactical fighter wing in the Air Force. He then worked flight operations until the incident happened. Fast forward 4 years, he was promoted to the position of non-commissioned officer in charge of security police plans and programs, or the NCOIC. Once completing his tour, he left the Royal Air Force in '84 and moved out to the Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota, where he worked in group pass and registration. While in Ellsworth, he received that same promotion of NCOIC, or the non-commissioned officer in charge, and worked in South Dakota for 3 years. After that, he was sent on one of his final assignments to Bitburg Air Base in Germany, where he worked flight operations and again was the NCOIC of Security Police Resource Management. He stayed in Bitburg and served in Desert Shield and Desert Storm. After the Gulf War, he was reassigned to Grissom Air Force Base in Indiana, where he worked flight operations until his retirement in November of 1993. During Sergeant Peniston's time in the Air Force, that included over 20 years of active duty, he also had some very important side gigs within the Air Force. He wrote defense, security, counterterrorism, and contingency plans for the United States Air Force and NATO.
Oh, wow.
He also was on security support for Air Force One.
Damn.
And the most important thing, during the majority of his career, he held U.S. top secret, BISCI, and NATO top secret cosmic atomal security clearances.
Holy shit.
I tried to research what NATO cosmic atomal is, and from my understanding, they're not going to tell us, but it is the highest ranking of security clearance in NATO, and this information cannot, under any circumstances, be leaked.
Oh, wow.
So, he's
no
top
pressure.
dog. And now you're like, that's great, Morgan. What about this guy? Why did you tell us all that? I tell you all of this about Sergeant Peniston to vouch for his character. This is a man who had top level security clearance and held top rank on numerous matters in the United States Air Force. This is a man that even after the incident was still promoted and kept on active duty for 14 years to follow. The incident that I'm referring to is one of the most well-documented UFO incidents in the world. This is the Rendlesham Forest incident.
Whoa. Whoa.
That man is a big dog.
Big dog. I mean, that clearance, for them to not even give a definition as to what it is.
Literally, I was like, and it was like nothing.
That's
They're like,
crazy.
no, that is the highest level. If information were to be leaked, NATO would go under.
Whoa.
You can't leak anything.
No
like that.
fucking pressure, man.
Yeah.
Just don't fuck up.
Yeah, he's like, can't tell you what it is, but I had that clearance. So
That's crazy.
no big deal.
So the Rendlesham Forest is a 3,700 acre woodland in Suffolk that is owned by Forestry England. It's in the Suffolk Coastal District and is part of the Sandlings Forest Site of Special Scientific Interest, or the SSSI, or the Triple SI. I believe this is a fancy term for what we call a national park over here, or just protected land. But the triple SIs are basically protected because of biological or geological reasons. These sites are designated by Natural England, which is a non-departmental public body that holds responsibility for protecting England's natural environment. When an area is deemed a SSSI, it's granted legal protection for wildlife and geological sites. SSSIs also have legal protection from developments or other damage, which is interesting in this case because a large area of the forest was cleared in 1943 for the construction of the RAF Woodbridge. During World War II, construction of Woodbridge took place for the Royal Air Force to assist any damaged aircrafts that were returning from the raids over in Germany. During the Cold War, the United States Air Force was granted access to use Woodbridge to house the 79th Tactical Fighter Squadron, 78th Tactical Fighter Squadron, and the 81st Fighter Wing until 1993. Nearby Woodbridge, approximately 10 miles or so, was what the Americans called the Twin Base, which is RAF Bentwaters. And you'll hear a lot more about that as we get into the case. RAF Bentwaters was under similar control as RAF Woodbridge, meaning like working with the U.S. And during World War II, it was used by the Royal Air Force. And during the Cold War, it was occupied by the United States Air Force. So Bentwaters was the site of the August 13th through 14th, 1956 Lakenheath Bentwater incident,
which we will come back to.
Guys, I'm going to pause really quick. And I need to tell you what happened. So basically,
we really try to play it cool.
But I realize I'm not playing it cool right now. I'm not okay. So I've been like in this ADHD paralysis from the fact that we have so much coming up, which Patreon, get fucking ready because we're about to pour it out onto you guys in this Piping Hot Goss that's coming out this week. But basically, I got really overwhelmed because I had so many cases and I'm like thinking of so many things, and I basically put myself in ADHD paralysis where like I can't think about anything or do anything to a full task. And I started and have like 7 pages of notes for about 5 different cases.
Start and stop.
So at 2:30, Morgan's like, hey, I'm on my way to the urgent care. And so when I get done with that, I'll go home and I'll change, get my medicine and come over there. And I start panicking because I'm like, these cases are way too long for me to even be fucking around with this right now. So I'm like trying to figure out if I have some old notes that I hadn't done. I'm looking through, I'm texting Morgan. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. Anything that you could tell me would help.
What do I say? I'm like, don't worry about it. Just jump on my case.
And luckily, Morgan had picked a really complex like trifecta
that
of a case.
That we could go into.
Yeah, like this one's really good. And that's why I was happy to get onto this one because it is like not crime, but a lot of like police stuff going on, reports and everything, but conspiracy wise. So anyways, I jumped on with Morgan, and next week we're going to be doing a whole crime case, and that's all that you're going to have. So I'll take over next week, and I'm just kind of helping Morgan with the background things that we added last minute to make sure it was long enough.
But my notes in my script, I use no punctuation. Yep. I misspell. I know that she doesn't section shit. I don't section anything. So watching Taylor read it, I'm like, okay, well that makes sense to me, but I get it.
Yeah,
I get why that would stump you right there.
Yeah, so
I'm finding enjoyment from it, honestly.
It's really great. So basically what we did is we just added like the things that Morgan had to skim over because it would make her notes too long if I were to have a case. We added it back in, and I'm reading those like supporting roles for you. It's not like an Ashley Flowers and Britt situation. It's more so like I'm just
like anything that might need more explanation, Taylor's gonna dive in.
We took on. So I basically was like, tell me what I can research. She told me what to do. Then I went and tried to fix her notes. It literally,
she was too busy color coding.
I was color coding shit and then transcribing. But anyways, you'll get a full crime next week. But that's why if you're like, what the fuck is Taylor on trying to read this?
She's on that. She's in paralysis.
I'm in paralysis.
So let's talk about the incident. It was December 26, 1980, when RAF Woodbridge received some reports of strange lights in the Rendlesham forest. RAF Woodbridge, like we said, or like Taylor said, at the time was used by the United States Air Force. Witnesses had reported that there were these strange lights that were descending down into the trees. The Rendlesham forest is located in between 2 Air Force bases, like we said, Bentwater and Woodbridge. Mm-hmm. And because of this, the servicemen initially thought that this is more than likely just a downed aircraft of from one of the bases. It was around 3 a.m. when Sergeant Peniston and his team made their way to the site. But once they got there, they realized that this was no downed aircraft, but instead an unidentified craft unlike anything they had seen before. It was a black, triangular object with a metallic, glassy surface. It was surrounded by this glowy, bright light, but as they approached it, that glow kind of dimmed. And there was also these twinkling, strange red and blue lights surrounding whatever was in front of them. The team was lost. There was no landing gear, there was no exhaust, and there were no windows. Upon closer inspection, they noticed that there was some symbols on the side of this craft. And this was a bit of relief for them, as they were hoping it would maybe give them some answers as to what was right in front of them, possibly have some markings that would just show that this is some top secret US test craft or a failed NASA experiment or something that would give them clues that this is from Earth. But as they got closer and closer, these symbols weren't symbols at all. These were shapes, lines, and images. These were hieroglyphics.
What the hell?
When they first headed into the forest, it was your typical 3 a.m. forestry sounds, birds, trees, and other animal noises. But once they reached the area where the craft was, the forest went dead silent. Sergeant Peniston said that it was deafening how silent it was. The team was intrigued, a little scared, but not scared from fear, more so scared from the whole uneasiness of the situation.
Yeah. They're looking at a UFO.
And then Sergeant Peniston did what no one should do when there's a UFO right in front of you.
What did he do?
He walks up to the craft and he's like, I'm just going to put my hand on it.
Morgan, I didn't even read this part of the notes. I'm shook.
I'm just gonna touch it, like probably right where those symbols are. I'm just gonna place
He puts his hands
right
on
there.
the hieroglyphics.
So he puts his hands on the hieroglyphics and immediately he gets engulfed by this bright white light and loses all sense of sight and sound. He was placed in this short trance-like state, and when he woke up, he was standing near the craft as it started to pick that glow back up again and shot off in a straight vertical position like a rocket.
Oh my God.
Once the craft was gone, the team took a look at their watches, and while it only felt like a 5-minute ordeal to them, their watches showed that hours had passed since they arrived. The team went back to the base and shared their findings. On December 28th, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt visited the site with a new team to do some investigative work. This is when they find a triangular depression in the ground and started to take radiation readings of this area using a standard U.S. military radiation survey meter or an ANPDR 27. At the 3 depression points and near the center of the triangle that was formed by the depression, they found beta gamma readings of 0.1 milliroentgens were recorded. The findings at the landing site weren't really anything unusual, and these were pretty small levels of radiation that could all be explained by using science. So a lot of people are like, okay, like you can pick up radiation anywhere, really. Yeah. This is Earth. We radiate a lot of bad
shit. And it's on a fucking military base.
Right. But what was interesting was that they had detected this small burst of radiation over a half a mile away from where this landing site was, or the Triangle Depression. Also, it was during this visit that they saw a flashing red light across the field, almost in line with a farmhouse. This was dubbed as being the Orford Ness Lighthouse, and according to the map, that does track, but it's like, would be really far, and the forest is dense.
Yeah.
That would shine through. But like that is the line of sight of the lighthouse. According to Halt's report, there were also 3 star-like lights that were seen in the sky, 2 to the north and 1 to the south, about 10 degrees above the horizon. He stated that the brightest of these lights hovered for about 2 to 3 hours and at some point seemed to beam down this stream of light. Astronomers have debunked this as just being bright stars, you know.
Yeah.
In the midst of this investigation, Sergeant Peniston was back on base when the weird things started happening to him. He began receiving these images in his mind of thousands of ones and zeros. So like he's seeing like 111111000010101011000
like codes.
Like code. He had no idea what they meant, why they were important, or why he was seeing them. But he figured that he should probably write them down in his notebook along with some drawings of the hieroglyphics that he saw in the craft.
Smart.
So he took some time and he did this. And as soon as he finished writing them down, he stopped seeing the images in his mind. altogether, never to see them again for the rest of his life.
So like, do you think if he didn't write them down that they would have
just kept coming?
Yeah.
And maybe this was a message, but the Air Force wasn't really too interested in entertaining this encounter, or at least not with Sergeant Peniston's knowledge. So he wasn't too interested in sharing the images in his mind and what he wrote down on a notebook. He kept that to himself. Because of this, he put his notebook away, and it was kind of an out of sight and out of mind ordeal. He carried on his active duty until his retirement, and while the encounter was always in the back of his mind, nothing strange ever happened to him during this time. This incident was first made public in 1983 under the U.S. Freedom of Information Act. The first piece of evidence released was called the Halt Memo, where Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt's memorandum was made public. And Taylor's going to read it for us.
So I'm going to read it for you. So at the top of this memo sits the official header and stamp of the Department of the United States Air Force, and it is dated on January 13th, 1981, just weeks after the incident, with the subject reading, quote, unexplained lights. The report says, quote, early in the morning of the 27th of December, 1980, at approximately 0300, so 3 a.m., two United States Air Force security police patrolmen saw unusual lights outside the back gate at RAF Woodbridge. Thinking an aircraft might have crashed or been forced down, they called for permission to go outside of the gate and investigate. The on-duty flight chief responded and allowed 3 patrolmen to proceed on foot. The individuals reported seeing a strange glowing object in the forest. The object was described as being metallic in appearance and triangular in shape, approximately 2 or 3 meters across the base and approximately 2 meters high. It illuminated the entire forest with a white light. The object itself had a pulsing red light on its top and banks or a bank of blue lights underneath. The object was hovering or on legs. As the patrolman approached the object, it maneuvered through the trees and disappeared. At this time, the animals on a nearby farm went into a frenzy. The object was briefly sighted approximately an hour later near the back gate. The next day, 3 depressions, 1.5 inches deep and 7 inches in diameter, were found where the object had been sighted on the ground. The following night, the 29th of December, 1980, the area was checked for radiation. Beta/gamma readings of 0.1 millo, whatever the hell Morgan said earlier, were recorded, with peak readings in the 3 depressions and near the center of the triangle formed by the depressions. A nearby tree had moderate readings, 0.05 to 0.07, on the side of the tree towards the depressions. Later in the night, a red sun-like light was seen through the trees. It moved about and pulsed. At one point, it appeared to throw off glowing particles and then broke into 5 separate white objects and then disappeared. Immediately thereafter, 3 star-like objects were noticed in the sky, 2 objects to the north and 1 to the south, all of which were about 10 degrees off the horizon. The objects moved rapidly in sharp angular movements and displayed red, green, and blue lights. The objects to the north appeared to be elliptical through an 8 to 12 power lens. They then turned to full circles. The objects to the north remained in the sky for an hour or so more. The object to the south was visible for 2 or 3 hours and beamed down a stream of lights from time to time. Numerous individuals, including the undersigned, witnessed the activities in paragraphs 2 and 3, which are the incidents that I detailed. This was signed by Charles Halt, Lieutenant Colonel, USAF, which is United States Air Force, Deputy Base Commander.
And I do remember why his dates are off. So this is actually one of the huge debunkings. So how Taylor, or what Taylor just read, how he said that it was on the 27th and then the radiation was checked on the 29th, but everybody else is saying the 26th and the 28th. A lot of people will debunk his claims by saying like he don't even have the fucking dates right.
Yeah, but like it was at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you'll learn later that there's like, you know, several, like she talked about several other incidents, and they're like all at random times. Like it could just be a typo.
Right. Anyway, a lot of people do debunk that because the dates are so off on what Colonel Halt has to say.
Yeah, and later on the dates seem a lot more consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The following year, the Halt tape was released to UFO researchers by Colonel Sam Morgan. And then in 1997, UFO researchers began looking for eyewitnesses from the events that took place on December 26th. And this is when Scottish researcher James Easton finds 2 men named Ed Cabinsbag and John Burroughs, who were 2 of the original witnesses that made statements to the Air Force during this time. Now, I'm unsure if they were servicemen that were a part of the teams or if they were locals. Doesn't state that anywhere. But Ed said, quote, "We figured the lights were coming from past the forest since nothing was visible when we passed through the woody forest. We would see a glowing light near the beacon light, but as we got closer, we found it to be a lit up farmhouse. We got to a vantage point where we could determine that we were chasing was only a beacon light off in the distance. So like we could see something and we were like trying to chase it, but then we were like, oh, fuck this."
Yeah, it just keeps getting farther away.
John Burroughs also stated, "We could see a beacon going around, so we kind of went towards it. We followed it for about 2 miles or 3 kilometers before we could see that it was just coming from a lighthouse." Burroughs also reported that there was a noise that sounded like a woman was screaming. And also that you could hear the farm animals making a lot of noises too, which is consistent with what Colonel Halt had to say in his memorandum. In 2005, under the UK's Freedom of Information Act, we learned that the Air Force wasn't the only group to investigate this craft. We find out that 2 constables from Suffolk responded and showed up on scene in the early hours of the 26th. And according to a statement made by Colonel Charles Halt, he never knew that local police had attended the scene on that first night.
What?
Taylor is going to walk us through the Suffolk Constabulary police documents, where the majority of the information, including who the letters are addressed to, has been redacted.
Yeah, so Morgan was able to locate this file that had 7 pages long. Like it was 7 pages long. And it includes 6 different documents / letters from the Suffolk Constabulary. Is that how you say that?
I think that's how you say it, yeah.
To me, I think that's like similar to a DA's office here. Like a...
So I was thinking like constable and then like vocabulary dictionary. Like it's like their library, the constabulary. You're right. I'm wrong. I was imagining that. I'm like, that's so cute. The constabulary, like the vocabulary. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it's from like the DA. What that version would be over there. But I only know that because I've covered cases over there. So that's
I'm thinking it stands for library.
And I could be wrong. It could be like the city commissioner type vibe. But like it seems like someone like that. But she was able to locate these. And in the file itself, they are just kind of like thrown in there randomly. And also they're like attached to like emails that were sent, sort of vibe. So what I'm going to do is actually read them to you in order of the timeline that they are dated. So instead of doing it in the order that they were in the file, I did it by date. And the earliest documented is actually the transcript from the reports that was made to the local police station. So basically like the 911 calls, but I think they're 999 or 000 over there. And it kind of just like summons up the official report. So it's not necessarily a transcript as much as it is like what the call was.
This is what they said. This is the result.
Exactly. Kind of like, you know, when you're at the doctor and you tell them like what's going on.
Yeah,
And they just
symptoms.
Like,
here's your diagnosis. Here's your treatment.
Exactly. It's just like that. The first one is dated December 26, 1980 at 4:11 a.m., which we know that aligns with Pendleton's. Yeah. Is that
Pendleton.
His name?
No, Peniston.
Peniston.
Wait.
What's his name?
Peniston. Yeah.
Peniston. Yeah.
It just sounded wrong.
Pendleton.
Yeah, Sergeant Pendleton.
Yeah, him. This is like that aligns with his story. Not so much the Halt report, but still, he could have just fucking had a typo on that damn typewriter. That was a typewriter.
Literally.
Yeah. And it's referring to a phone call that came in at that date and time. It marks the location as being of the emergency as being, quote, beyond the East Gate to RAF Woodbridge, and notes the informer, so the caller, as being a C. Arnold. And according to this document, the caller told dispatch, quote, "We have a sighting of some unusual lights in the sky. Have sent some unarmed troops to investigate. We are terming it as a UFO at present," end quote. Then the document notes that the result of this call was air traffic control from West Drayton checked, and they had no knowledge of an aircraft being in this area. Reports received of aerial phenomena over South England during the night. So there were more reports in addition to that one, but only lights visible in the area was from Orford Lighthouse, which is the Orfordness Lighthouse that she was telling you about earlier. Made search of the area, which was negative. So basically they're saying there were a lot of reports that came in about this. We sent officers out to check it out. We checked with ATC to see if there was anyone that would have been in the area that, should have been on radar or whatever. But there was like many reports of this aerial phenomena, but never observed by the officers sent out to be investigating
The only light found was
the lighthouse, which is interesting because of the beacon light from that barn that everyone talks about. Like if they were in that area investigating it, like they didn't report that as being one of the lights.
Right.
So that's interesting.
They're like, it's near the farmhouse, but they didn't necessarily ever say it was coming from the farm.
Exactly. The second document is the very same style of report form from that station, like dispatchers writing down the note. And it came from the very same day. So December 26, 1980. However, the time marked on this one, instead of being 4:11 a.m., is 10:30 a.m. The location is written as approximately 2 miles east of the East Gate at Bentwaters. So that's the second Air Force base that we were talking about.
The twin
bases. Yeah. And the informer for this one, instead of being left on like C. Arnold was for the past one, is actually redacted except for the last name Wood. Now, according to this document, the caller told dispatch, quote, "We have a call from the LE at Bentwaters," which I think is law enforcement officers, "in reference to the UFO report last night. We have found a place where a craft of some sort seemed to have landed," end quote. And the document lists that the result of this call, so what they did about it, as, quote, "There were 3 marks in the area which did not follow a set pattern. The impressions made by the SE marks were by the southeast mark were of no depth and could have been made by an animal. PC Cresswell attended," end quote. Now, PC Cresswell is one of the like patrol office men for this
constabulary.
Yeah, this constabulary. His name is redacted in some, but like I can tell that that's his name because they refer to him like several times as being there. But basically what the result of this was is they sent out multiple, but they had this like guy go with them. They basically really contradict what the story
the triangle.
is. About the triangle being, you know, like an inch deep and 7, you know, whatever.
And how it, like they're saying here that it does not follow a set pattern, where everyone else is like, that's a triangle.
Right, that's a triangle, no doubt about it. And also the thing of it being like there were some of no depth. It could have been an animal.
Well, and I say everyone, but the only story that it's really contradicting is
the ones we know.
Halt,
yeah. Well,
because like at this time, Pennington doesn't say anything. He's like, I was there. I touched. He didn't even touch. No one knows that he's got these images in his head or anything like that.
So at this
point, he's just like, I was there, I came back, and I went on with my life. I went to this station and this station, 20 more years of active duty.
And they just keep redacting the people that have gone back, except for this Cresswell dude. So that's what's interesting to me.
Yeah,
about that.
I wonder who he is.
So the third document in this file is dated November 23rd, 1983, almost exactly 3 years to the date after the incident. And it's a letter from the Chief Constable of Suffolk, whose name is redacted. And the title is Sighting of Unusual Lights in the Sky at Woodbridge on the 26th of December, 1980, with reference to your letter dated November 3rd, 1983, which related to the above-mentioned incident. Now, we are not sure who this person is writing to, but this is what it says. Dear Sir, police knowledge of this matter is limited to a telephone report of the alleged incident timed 4:11 a.m. on December 26, 1980, which is the first report that I read to you, and received from a person at RAF Bentwaters, together with the 2 subsequent visits to the location by police officers, which are the results of both of the reports I just read to you. The first visit followed immediately the reported incident, and the 2 officers who attended made a search of the area with a negative result, aka they didn't find anything. A note on this log indicates that the air traffic control at West Drayton were contacted and that there was no knowledge of aircraft in the area to coincide with the time of the sighting. Mention is also made on the log of reports received of aerial phenomena over southern England during that night. The only lights visible to the officers visiting the incident were those from the Orford Lighthouse. A further report was received at 10:30 a.m. on December 26, 1980 from a staff member at RAF Bentwaters indicating that a place had been found where a craft of some sort could have landed. An officer attended and the area involved did bear 3 marks of an indeterminate pattern. The marks were apparently of no depth and the officer attending thought that they could have been made by an animal. It is considered little more would be gained by you making direct contact with these officers involved, as the above information constitutes the sum of their knowledge in relation to this matter. It is hoped that the information supplied will be of assistance to you in formulating your intended account of the circumstances. Yours faithfully, Chief Constable Redacted. End quote. So to me, it seems like whoever was writing this was trying to get these documents or whatever from these calls that were made the day of the incident, didn't feel like they had gotten enough from the records that were sent previously, which were the 2 first reports that I read to you, and was wanting to interview the responding officers that went to these places, which was obviously declined by this chief constable dude.
Kind of giving like he's writing to the military.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Like the military's like, I've got this dude that's whistleblowing.
Right. Like
he just released this memo. Like, you guys were a part of that. We have no information. Because like if this colonel who was involved in it didn't know the local police were there and
gets this, finds out they are, is contacting them.
Or the military also had no idea the local police was there.
Yep.
And they were like, hey, we have a whistleblower. Colonel Hall is writing these memorandums and posting them all over the newspaper. We need to know what you guys know.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's what I
happened
think.
that day.
And I find that real, because I think like that too. Like I think this was like a higher up, like trying to get this information. I'm not sure why the officers wouldn't be able to be interviewed if, you know,
Right, like
it
the
just seems really
military could
simple.
get them, unless this came out in when? I forget.
This one was released in 1983.
No. These documents were released in 2005, where the United States Air Force no longer commission RAF, Woodbridge, or Brentwater.
You're
so
right.
they really have no jurisdiction
Over
over the police to get information.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's really interesting. And it's just like really odd because it's like, maybe like that's the shortest detail. It's like literally 3 or 4 sentences for all the results that are listed on there, like the findings from them going to the scene.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna report it as a UFO, and then the ending, they're like, we went.
There was nothing.
Marked.
Could have been animals.
It was an animal.
But like, okay, well, we need more detail because those are 3 or 4 sentences. Like clearly, we're inquiring about this. Now, the 4th document is another letter from the Suffolk Constabulary, but instead of the chief, it's actually from the Felixstowe Police Superintendent, which is dated October 27th, 1988. Let me make this make sense a little bit. So what I think it is, like with this is why I was thinking about like the constabulary and like what the hell that is. I think these are like the branch small departments in the surrounding areas, and the constabulary is like the controlling entity of all of them.
I see.
Because like all of them have the Suffolk Constabulary, but then they have like different departments and stations that they're talking with on the headers. This header is from the Felixstowe Police Superintendent, and it's dated October 27th, 1988. And the person this letter is written to has been redacted, but it seems like the person that wrote was requesting some information on the incident in a letter to the Felixstowe Superintendent. And so the superintendent wrote back saying, quote, "Dear Mr. Redacted, I refer to your letter to Woodbridge Police Station dated October 18th, 1988. I can inform you that at shortly after 4 a.m. on December 26, 1980, the police did receive a call reporting unusual lights being seen in the sky near RAF Woodbridge. The police responded to the call, but there was no evidence to substantiate or indicate the presence of an unidentified flying object. You may already be aware that 3 local residents also pursue your interest in UFOs and have written books on the incident called Sky Crash, their names being Brenda Butler, Dot Street, and Jenny Randalls. Unfortunately, I do not know the name of the publishers, nor do I know if it's still available for purchase. Hope this helps in your research. Yours sincerely, Redacted, Superintendent Felixstowe Subdivision." I think this is like, I don't think this is like military. I think this is like a civilian.
That's like a ufologist.
Yeah, like
something.
a ufologist coming out. But like, I love, you know, doesn't really.
Is it Colonel Halt?
It could be.
Because what I did fuck us up when I said released in 2005. That's when it went public. These letters were dated in 88.
Yes.
So could it be that Colonel Halt found out the police and he wants more information because the military wasn't giving it to him?
Maybe.
So he looks like this crazed fan. That's like
this crazy dude,
but really wants information on what he found.
Right.
Like he's obsessing over it.
I mean, because all these letters seem to be like answering the same exact questions and like
he's like, okay, well,
to,
the chief didn't give me anything, so I'm gonna go to the superintendent.
Right. Exactly.
And he's like, here's some books, dude.
Yeah. Like he's literally
funny
like,
as fuck.
He's like plugging the supporting local creators and like, love that for you, King, but like didn't help much.
It's kind of funny as fuck.
He's like, you know, there are some people that, you know, you might be able to hang out with at a coffee shop. They wrote a book about those shit. It's called Sky Crash.
Yeah, like I don't know anything. I wasn't the superintendent 8 years ago, but like good luck.
Here's
some books.
moving on to the 5th document, this is kind of where shit gets interesting because this next letter is filled with redacted lines, meaning it's gonna be fucking juicy. This letter is written from an inspector for the force headquarters / chief constable's office of this specific headquarters, and I believe this is the second chief constable that Morgan was talking about earlier. So it's different from the first letter that we read, and the actual names of who wrote this letter and who it's being written to have both been redacted. This letter is dated July 28th, 1999, and the title is Incident in Rendlesham Forest, December 1980. The letter says, quote, I refer to your letter from July 22nd, 1999 in relation to a series of unusual events which allegedly occurred outside of the perimeter of RAF Woodbridge, Suffolk during the last week of December 1980. A great deal of interest has understandably been generated in respect of this story, not because of the apparent number and standing witnesses. However, over the intervening years, various reports of the incident / incidents seem to have taken a life of their own, to the extent that the sighting details and corroborated evidence have been substantially embellished. This contrasts sharply with the views of the local police who attended at the time and did not perceive this occurrence as being anything unusual considering the festive significance of the date and expected high spirits. Such a perception lends support to the lack of police documentary evidence, and one needs to understand the minimalistic nature of rural policing in order to appreciate the answers which I will attempt to give your questions. Now, before I go on, because he does like bullet points, basically answering the questions of this like previous letter that we don't have.
Right.
But you can kind of like piece them together. However, I want to say this before we get into it. I think this inspector guy, I think he really believes in the incident.
He's like, it happened and you guys are kind of fucking it up?
Yeah, like, no.
Or like you guys aren't giving the information.
I think you'll understand at the end when he says like his final sentence, but like, to me, he seems a lot more open to the fact of being like, no, this really happened. Whereas like the other people involved, like the responding officers and other local police, don't find this to be a real incident. They think it's fake. Mm-hmm. And this guy, this letter right here gives us the most detail out of anything in terms of like unanswered questions. So, number one, both PC, which is like police officers, both PC redacted and PC redacted, and I'm going to call them PC1 and PC2, have retired from the force, but being a long-standing friend of the former, which is PC2, I have spoken to him recently and at great length in response to other similar journalistic inquiries. Redacted, aka PC2, has confirmed that he and PC1 redacted were in the law enforcement office at RAF Bentwaters when they were diverted to a higher priority task at Oatley Post Office.
Post office?
So during the first investigation, what we find out in this, I think they had to leave before they could really investigate because there was a robbery.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. I'm really excited about this.
This is why I put her on the police letters. I haven't even read these.
Yeah. So they were diverted to a higher priority task at Oatley Post Office. As rural night duty officers, they would have sole responsibility for policing a huge territorial area, approximately 400 square miles, and would certainly have treated a post office burglary as more important than a reoccurrence of an earlier incident, which was seen as somewhat frivolous. PC Brian Cresswell's, also now retired, visit to the alleged landing site would not have generated more than a standard incident log unless he was convinced that something worth reporting had occurred. PC redacted, I think this is PC2, had discussed the matter with him, and it appeared that all three officers were equally unimpressed with the night events. So I think PC 1 and 2 that are redacted in this were the ones that went to the first 411 call, and then they also came with PC Brian Cresswell on that second one.
And also in the timeline that Sergeant Peniston is giving, they went at 3:30 in the morning and they saw the ship. So at 4:11, when the police got there, the ship was gone.
It was gone at that point.
So they only had the impressions in the middle of the night in the dark. And they're like, okay, what am I looking at?
And they could barely see them.
Right.
Because it's so fucking dark. Okay, so also now retired, alleged site did not generate more than, PC redacted, I think, too, had discussed the matter with him, and it appeared that all 3 officers were equally unimpressed with the night events. Number 4, civilian police officers were not employed in guarding the area surrounding the alleged landing site or sites or to deter access, as there was no evidence to indicate that anything of immediate concern to the police had occurred, which is interesting to note to me. Like, maybe the person asked, like, okay, did you send people to go guard the site until it could be investigated in the light?
Right.
And they were like, no, because we only have 2-3 night patrolmen.
Right.
So we'd have to call in civilian, like, volunteers, essentially. Number 5, there is no documentary evidence that police officers were involved in a similar incident that occurred on the 27th through the 31st of that year. And PC number 2, redacted, cannot recall any further request for police attendance. So to me, I think that's them trying to clear up Charles Halt's typo on December 27th.
Yeah.
That's what I think. It's just my opinion.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And they're like either the 27th or the 31st. Like,
right.
Okay.
So number 6 is special branch officers should have been aware of the incident or incidents through having sight of the incident logs, but would not have shown interest unless there was evidence of a potential threat to national security. No such threat was evident. To me, that makes me feel like the person was like, when this happened, did you guys report this to higher ups?
Right.
Like, was this
did you guys talk to the military?
Did you investigate? Because, like,
they're right
clearly
there.
There's drama going on. Yeah. Okay. Then he continues saying, so he finishes his bullet points and he says, I have tried to be as objective as possible with the answers provided. And like yourself, I would undoubtedly be pleased to see a local incident such as this substantiated as an authentic UFO experience. That's why I think he's like, he believes that it's real. PC2 redacted holds similar views to myself and returned to the forest site in the daylight in case he had missed some evidence in the darkness. There was nothing to be seen, and he remains unconvinced that the occurrence was genuine. The immediate area was swept by powerful light beams from a landing beacon at RAF Bentwaters and the Orford Ness Lighthouse. I know from personal experience that at night, in certain weather and cloud conditions, these beams were very profound and certainly caused strange visual effects. If you have any other questions in respect to this subject, I will be pleased to discuss the issues further. My direct dial telephone number is redacted. Yours sincerely, redacted, Inspector Operations Planning. End quote. So to me, it feels like this guy's just as intrigued.
Yeah.
He's like, give me a call.
Yeah, he's like, give me a call and let me crack open an old manila folder.
Right.
That has some information on it.
And I told Morgan that what I found really interesting is the majority of these names have been redacted in this. And the other documents that I've read to you before this that will come after. But there's like, beside all the redactions, there's this like code beside them. There's 2 different ones that I've seen more frequently. And the first code that's the most frequent is SF40, which to me is like subject F40. And the second one is SF42, so subject F42. As if the majority of these letters are referring to the same people or person, which we learned from this letter that SF40 is probably that responding officer PC2, whereas SF42 seems to be like the inspector or like a constable at the time or something.
Yeah.
Now, this could be totally unrelated and just like something that people throw on top, but I wanted to note it because when I showed it to Morgan, we were looking at it and we're like, all right, that might be something.
That is weird, yeah.
Okay. So moving on to the last letter, document 6. The stamp at the top is the official stamp of the Suffolk Constabulary. However, the header on the top of this one is different, and it says it's from the Facsimile Transmission Force Headquarters, which is the same as the previous one because that one had the same tag at the top in like the details and the fine print, except for this one has the official markings where the previous one didn't, and maybe it's because of who wrote this one versus who wrote the other one. But either way, this one is dated January 18th, 2001, and it's written by the executive service manager at the headquarters of the name that I told you before. And this executive service manager's name has also been redacted, but it's addressed to a redacted name from the Home Office of Action Against Crime and Disorder Unit. And it says, quote, redacted. As discussed, Please find a copy of the letter sent to Redacted in July of 1999, which may be of use. And that's referring to the letter that I just read to you before this. As also discussed, due to the period elapsed since the incident, it has not been possible to locate any files due to them being stored in a different location. Furthermore, the situation is exacerbated by the fact that most police officers serving at that time have since retired, including the author of the attached letter. So that inspector guy, he's retired now. I trust this will suffice. Signed, Redacted, Executive Service Manager, end quote. And
So
that's it.
This trail of letters went on for 20 years.
Yeah. These go all the way back to 83 and even
And we probably
halts
just
before
saw
that.
like the basis of them. The
Yes.
ones that everyone look at.
These are the ones that were able to be released, if that tells you anything.
Yeah.
So basically, not
And
fucking
it's
shit.
interesting to me that the evidence for the incident, they're not able to locate any files on it, not because it's been so long, but because, well, they're at a different location.
It's at a different location.
So
which
where
to
is
me
it?
is like it's being held with military.
Yeah.
So we don't even have access to it.
Yeah, that's what that sounds like to me too.
Yeah.
So,
Damn.
Yeah, crazy. So nothing more really comes to light besides some newspaper clippings that kept reemerging throughout the years talking about the situation. But other than that, there was really no new information. But fast forward, it's now 30 years after the incident. It's 2010 when retired Colonel Charles Halt signed a notarized affidavit where he summarized what happened and stated that he believed this event to be extraterrestrial and that it was covered up by both the United Kingdom and the United States.
Oof.
This catapulted the story back into the media, sparking curiosity from one very infamous extraterrestrial television show, Ancient Aliens.
Woo woo.
Production of the show Ancient Aliens knew that in order to get a good episode out, they need to talk to the source of somebody there on site on December 26th. They need to talk to Sergeant Peniston.
Yes.
So they reach out to Jim, Sergeant Peniston, so that he can share his story. And Peniston had some information that would blow this case out of the water. It was the images that were going through his head after touching the ship.
Oh my God.
The numbers, the mysterious glyphs. And lucky for the production of Ancient Aliens, they scored because Sergeant James Peniston still had the notebook that he wrote it down on.
Oh my God. You know that dude with the crazy fucking
He was
hair
like,
on there
"Fuck
was like,
yes!
yeah. Two-parter.
Along with the help of Linda Moulton Howe and other experts, Peniston discovered that what was popping up in his head and what was written on the notebook was actually binary code.
What?
The team spent days, weeks, so much time trying to decipher the notebook code, and when it was translated, everyone was astounded. Here is the translated message. And again, these are from the 11100101010.
What is binary code?
It's like that. 1010101010.
I know, but I want to look up like what.
Like similar to Morse, but binary came before Morse, I think.
Yeah. Okay, here's a little blurb.
Give me a blurb.
A binary code represents text, computer processor instructions, or any other data using a two-symbol system.
So you're right. After Morse code. This
Right.
is, and we'll come back to that.
Yeah, the two-symbol system is often used is 0 and 1 from the binary number system. The binary code assigns a pattern of binary digits, also known as bits, to each character, instruction, etc.
So 1101010.
So that's what bits are?
I guess.
I see bits all the time.
But that's interesting that is binary code is computer based because we'll talk about that.
Look at this. These are the codes for each of the numbers.
Oh, that's
And-
crazy.
and
He
letters.
was writing that down.
He was writing, guys, this is crazy looking. It's like, I'm just going to give you one singular example, but like 01, literally there's so many zeros I can't even fucking, 01000001 is A.
Fuck that.
01000110
If I was Peniston,
is B.
I would have been like, I'm so done.
Morgan, do you want to hear?
Just tattoo it on my on my arm.
I have to tell you something.
What?
This just like sparked a memory in me that
Well, you know, you have binary code in your head.
This is the craziest shit. I'm like embarrassed to talk about this. Sorry. Well, I promise we'll get back to this case. Oh my God. I haven't thought about this in years. I can smell it. So when I was like oh my God, I had to be in like 3rd grade. We had like a substitute for library. And like when you're in elementary school, you go to library every day and you go to PE every day or something like that, or music or whatever. You rotate the 3. And I was in library one day and there was a substitute. For some reason, I had this like little bitty, like it looked like a paper holder, but it was like plastic and it clipped, and there was like Hello Kitty on the front. It was like pink and sparkly. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And it's like a big pencil case, like if they were to all lay flat, or you could put paper in it. So I had one of those. And I carried it around with me all the time. Like always kept my pencils in it. It was
Did
like
it have like
shit.
the loopy thing? Like you would like flip it over and like the rubber band that you would wrap around the circle, or no?
That sounds familiar, but I had this
Like
thing for so long, I beat the shit out of it. Kind of.
Like close it?
Oh no, not like that. It had a clasp, but it was just like that. It was just like that. So I had this, and for whatever reason, like at school that day, this is I think before I got, it was definitely before I got diagnosed with ADHD. I had turned like I had turned the paper, the like notebook paper, up and down so the lines were columns.
Yes.
And I had written numbers, like just random bits of numbers, and then put commas between them, like binary code, like just tons and tons of numbers. And I did
aliens are talking through you.
I did like 000000001, then 0000000, basically binary code, moving the 1 forward and then going back and doing that. But this time,
why do I think I did that too? And you would draw with the 1?
Yes.
Were you drawing pictures with the 1?
Yes, but like that wasn't my thing at first. I ended up doing that for some reason. I just wanted to write down these numbers. And the librarian substitute comes over to me and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like,
binary code. I have a message.
I'm doing math. I was like, I'm doing math. And she's like, "This is not math." I remember her telling me that. And I was like, "No, it's math. It's numbers." And she's like, "It's numbers, but it's not math." And I'm like, "I'm going to fight your ass." Like,
yeah, I fucking know math. Do you?
Right now. But she like, and I remember telling her, she's like, she kept asking me, "Where did you get this? Where did you see this? Why are you doing this?" And I was just like, I don't know. It was in my head. I kept telling her it was in my head. It was in my head.
That's freaky.
Is that fucking weird? I wonder if my mom had like kept that little thing, and because I kept this for years, Morgan, and I just continued writing all the numbers.
It, and it's like,
what if it's binary code?
That would be crazy.
That'd be crazy. Okay.
So this is what his binary code says translated. Exploration, and this also has a lot of coordinates in it, so I'm not going to give you the full 9-digit coordinate number. I'm going to do the first 2.1.
Yeah.
Okay. So it says exploration of humanity 6668100, and then coordinates 52.09 north, 13.13 west, and then it spells out continuous for planetary advan, like advantage. I don't know. ADVAN ? Fourth coordinate continuate UQS CBPR before. And then it has a list of a bunch of coordinates. 16.7 north, 89.1 west, 34.8 north, 111.8 west, 29.9 north, 31.1 east, 14.7 south, 75.1 west, 36.2 north, 117.1 east, 37.1 north, 25.3 east. Then it says eyes of your eyes. Origin 52.09 north, 13.13 west. Origin year 8,100. So that's a lot of coordinates.
Yeah.
And what the hell did all of this mean?
Eyes of your eyes.
Yeah. Okay. Chill out, of David.
It's giving all seeing eye.
It's giving Handmaid's Tale.
It is.
Yeah, don't like that. Was this a message from the future? With help, the team was able to locate all of the coordinates and the locations that sit at each. And what if I was to tell you that these are very famously known spiritual locations around the earth that have mysteries surrounding them? These coordinates are to locations around the world: Caracol, Belize; Sedona, Arizona; the Great Pyramid of Giza; the Nazca Lines in Peru; Taishan-Q in China; and the Portara at the Temple of Apollo in Naxos, Greece. Also, a location of this mysterious phantom island called High Brazil.
Hi, Brazil. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, and you won't until next year. I'll do a little bit about it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take us through each of these areas. I know that we know the majority of them, but we just wanted to do a little breakdown of like what's at each for the ones that we haven't covered. Starting with Caracol, Belize. Caracol was a major Mayan city that served as an important religious and ceremonial center. The site features various temples and pyramids that were used for religious rituals and ceremonies. The most notable structure is the Kana or Sky Place, and I know how to pronounce it. Caana.
It's like Kana or something.
Yeah, we've
Kana.
done this before when we
Yeah.
did like mythology shit. But it basically translate to Sky Palace, which was the largest structure in the region and likely served as a prominent place for spiritual and political activities. The Mayans were known for their advanced understanding of astronomy, and Caracol is no exception. The site includes structures aligned with celestial events such as solstices and equinoxes, reflecting the Mayan deep connection to astronomical phenomena and their spiritual significance. Sedona, Arizona. Sedona is famous for its vortex sites, specific locations believed to have like these powerful energy fields that enhance meditation, healing, and spiritual experiences. And these sites are thought to facilitate spiritual growth and personal transformation. Personally been there. Have you been there, Sedona?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great vibes.
Great vibes.
Great vibes. Very like spiritual vibes the entire time that you're there.
Very chill.
Yeah.
Very get a coffee
Earth
every day.
vibes. Yeah, exactly. Next, Pyramid of Giza. The pyramid was seen as a symbol of the pharaoh's divine power and eternal rule, which we all know, but I'm still going to give you this little blurb. It represents the pharaoh's connection to the gods and the divine order, reinforcing his status as a godlike figure on earth. The pyramid's alignment with specific celestial bodies and events may have had symbolic meaning related to the divine and cosmic order, which not may have, it did.
It did.
It's literally recorded on there that, hey, we put this here because of this.
Right.
Like I don't know why
this is
people...
the constellation. This is north, south,
Right.
east, and west.
Holy fuck shit. Remind me to come back at the end and give you guys a little blurb of what was found in Egypt. Moving on.
I'm just trying to like put two and two. So first, Caracol, Belize is more so about rituals, ceremonies. Sedona is like healing. Very calm.
like chakras.
Spiritual. And then Giza is like you're aligned
Connection
and
to
this
the
is, like,
divine.
connection to the divine. Yeah, I'm just trying to like
Yeah.
trying to sum them all up right
And
in my
then
head.
we have the Nazca lines in Peru. The Nazca lines are a series of large geoglyphs which are etched into the desert floor in southern Peru. Many scholars believe that the Nazca lines were created for ritualistic and ceremonial practices or purposes, and the lines and figures might have been intended to communicate with deities or to mark sacred spaces. Some researchers do suggest that they played a role in religious ceremonies or processions, possibly related to agricultural fertility. So now we have
like,
Earth.
Earth, yeah. Like abundance.
Yep.
Fertility.
Like, yeah, fertility. Yep, exactly. Then we have the Taishan Kuyu, and Taishan or Tai Mountain is in China, and it's located in the Shandong province. It is one of the 5 great mountains of China, and it has been a major center of worship and pilgrimage for over 3,000 years. Taishan is considered sacred in both Taoism and Confucianism. Yeah. In Taoism, it is associated with the divine and the natural harmony of the universe. And in Confucianism, we don't know how to say that. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. It symbolizes the ideal of moral integrity and the connection between heaven and earth. So both like a connection to the gods, like the sky bridge
Right.
type of situation.
Yeah.
For centuries, people have climbed Taishan to pay homage to the mountain's deities and to seek spiritual enlightenment. But the mountain is also the site of numerous temples and shrines where rituals have been performed and are performed for years.
Very spiritual places.
Very spiritual places. Okay, so now this one's like the bridge.
The bridge.
Okay.
The gateway.
I guess that's similar to Giza.
It is. I see the pyramids and Taishan as
Being
like
similar.
one and the same, but I also
The pyramids
see
are
that,
built
like,
and this is natural.
I also see like the pyramids as being a place to go and connect with deities.
Deities, yeah.
And Taishan is more of a place to go and create that like
That bond.
or not so much connection, but like as a bridge. Like you're on a mountain,
yep.
you're at the highest point, you're on one of the great mountains of China. Like
And it's natural.
and it's natural.
Not man-made. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
like think of the pyramids as like a temple to start that relationship with that deity, and
To
then
signify
go to
it.
Taishan to, I don't know.
connect. I know we're literally like making shit up.
No, we literally
are making shit up, but like we're just trying to find the
talk
connections.
this through, because like this is crazy. This is a guy's Morse code that 30 years later
Was
or binary
transcribed.
code that he put in a notebook. We vouched
If
for
you
him.
haven't seen what binary code is, get on Google right now and look it up.
And these images popped in his fucking head after he touched this spaceship.
It's crazy.
And it's giving coordinates to these points.
That's like that seems fake.
It seems fake.
And this guy is a really reliable dude.
Right. Like he had fucking clearance. He was with the president. I mean, I don't know.
And he even served and got promoted after this. So
right.
like you can't
and he
tell
didn't
me.
go and whistleblow. They
No.
came to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one is the Portara at the Temple of Apollo. The Portara, or the Great Door, is a massive marble doorway and the only remaining part of an unfinished temple dedicated to Apollo. In ancient Greek spirituality, such gateways often symbolized a passage between the mortal world and the divine.
So also what I want to know is like we have some of the largest civilizations in history coordinates.
Yeah.
We have China,
Egypt,
Mayan, Greek. Like these are like staples.
yeah. These are big mythological players too, like hardcore and
Yeah.
advanced civilization that we think we've lost all technology from.
And if we went into the history of Sedona, is that how you say it?
Sedona, yes.
Sedona, we would show a ton of historical significance in that area
Civilizations.
from
Native, indigenous
tribes.
Yes.
So
And even if we believe in Mount Shasta's stories with
Exactly.
the Sumerians, then that even takes that back further and gets us to Atlantis.
Right.
And I know we're on the crazy train.
and now we're on the
crazy train. We're gonna back off, but Morgan, do you want to do the last one?
Yeah, I'll do the last one. So the last one is High Brazil, and it is a phantom island, and it could be an episode in itself. But to give you a little sum up of the legend that it is, it's an island off the coast of Ireland that is filled with this mist that
I knew I recognized
it's a
the
legend.
name.
It's filled with mist that covers it from being discovered, except for like a couple rare moments throughout its existence on Earth where it will reveal itself to a select few. It's been known and has been depicted in old maps throughout history. And it's known to be this island of magic, wizards, and giant rabbits. But that's a story that you're going to be hearing on St. Patrick's Day 2025.
So shut the hell up.
Imagine that title.
We have to keep that one for ourselves.
Yeah, so shut the fuck up. Those that have looked into this incident and the message, including Peniston, don't believe that this experience, what happened outside of Woodbridge, was extraterrestrial in nature. And instead, they believe that it was a message from the future. Binary code, computerized. Like that is futuristic as
Right.
fuck. They believe that the sign off on the binary code translation that says origin year 8100 is really like, hey, we're from the year 8100.
Yeah.
You're not here yet.
just
but
waving.
Just wait. Like
Did this happen to look like a Tesla?
literally. Did it look like a Cybertruck?
Did it look like a Cybertruck?
And the coordinates are believed to be locations of these like hidden portals on Earth or very spiritual, significantly spiritual, historical civilizations that we all know.
That what's crazy is that we have been around like the longest. Like think about these things that these coordinates struck down on. Like they have been here for thousands of years. So is that saying that is it in the year 8100 or whatever?
Right.
It's going to be like the pyramids are still going to be there. That Sedona is still going to be there.
Maybe.
That mountain is still going
like
to be
we
there.
are going to maybe create this like
Someone's banging on the door. Sorry, y'all. We locked Logan out of the house. Where were we at?
the coordinates are believed, like we said, to be these like very old spiritual civilizations. And maybe if this is a message from the future telling us, like Taylor said, that these points are still going to be there and they're still going to be spiritually significant. And maybe that has something to do with like Mother Earth herself. Like
Right.
I don't know.
It also could be that maybe they're not there and maybe they're just trying to be like, we know these places
Save
are
these.
there. Yeah, like take care of these because we fucked up. So if you guys can protect those, that'd be great.
Yeah. So what are they trying to tell us? We don't know. This case has a lot of fucking shit with it.
A lot.
It's got a whole nother incident that I was going to talk about, but honestly, it would be perfect for another case in itself. And I don't really want to jump back into military talk here. But I think that what it sums down, or what it boils down to, is that this is like a huge jurisdiction like
problem.
Issue. Like, I think in the letters that Taylor read, someone is pleading to the Suffolk police, like, we want this documented as like a real UFO like encounter. Like, we want this to be real. We want you guys to release it. And they're like, oh, sorry, we don't have anything on it because, well, the United States military has it, even though it was in
England. It was on, but like when there's a military base that is taken over by the U.S., that is considered U.S. property,
territory.
And so it's kind of like, you know how we were talking about last week with the search warrants, how like when you get a search warrant for a place, like you're in control. Then wait, when was that? When did we talk about that? Oh, I talked about that on Patreon 70, which still hasn't gone out yet.
Oh,
that will come out. That will come out sooner.
What also is really interesting about this case is that it's a triple SI.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be protected from any sort of development or any sort of building. And what do? They place 2 military bases right on it.
Right on it.
Why?
And why is it so protected then?
Right.
Like, what's the biological and geological
And the second
things?
incident that I had, I mean, this one has documented 8 different UFO incidences in this forest. So it is very, and like that one report that you read, they said throughout the whole night, we have gotten them all aerial phenomenons from all across southern England.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Is someone hammering in my backyard? What the fuck is going on? Are we gonna get abducted? I don't know.
It's binary code
right now
going on. I don't know, guys. I really have no idea, and I don't know. I'm assuming
they want to fight us. Someone's
Who is that?
hammering on metal in my backyard. I know it's not Logan. I don't see anyone out here.
That's interesting.
That's weird. Okay. Whatever.
But anyway, to sum it up, you have a very clearly military documented UFO incident that we probably will never see the light of day. And what I find the most intriguing about all of it, or the most interesting, is that Peniston, like he didn't go out, he didn't whistle blow. Like ancient aliens came to him.
Right. And he agreed to talk.
And he was like, yeah, I'm fucking retired. I've been done for 10 years now, 15 years.
What matters?
Like, what's up? You want my notebook? Yeah, sure, I got that notebook. Like,
so Morgan, I went back when you were just talking right then, because I didn't think about from the fact that it could be from the future, and I just want to reread this under that, like, keep that in your head. So it says exploration of humanity 666-8100. Then it has the coordinates. Do we know what that first coordinates to? I want to put it in.
I didn't punch them in, and I wish I would have, but I didn't.
We'll punch that one in here in a second. But it says continuous for planetary
advancement.
ADVAN. That could be advantage or
advancement.
Advancement.
Like the planet in order to advance, in order for the planet to continue to advance, then the 4th coordinate would need to continue UQS
CBPR. Continuant 4th coordinate. Okay, what's the 4th coordinate?
I'm typing it in right now.
Yeah. And I'll type in the first
Nazca lines is the 4th coordinate.
Now that's interesting. So the second line, so it says exploration of humanity 66.
This one's in the middle of the ocean.
What, Morgan?
I have chills. This one is, oh no, that's the island off the coast of Ireland.
Okay.
That's the mystery island.
That's weird that's where it's got the main coordinate.
Because I'm like, what is it inside the middle of the...
Wait,
it's off Ireland.
Because
that's the...
What's weird about that though, Morgan, is that it's the second one as if it's like the address. Because it's like a header. The header is exploration of humanity and then the address. So then that island, High Brazil.
Yeah, High Brazil.
Whoa.
Off Ireland.
That's weird. That's really weird.
And this one...
What if this is like a top secret island? That's why it's like been taken off the majority of things. That's crazy.
Okay, then it goes Carico and then Sedona, and then I didn't look up the 3rd. The 4th one is Nazca lines. So we have a little extra though. What's the origin one? I didn't...
Origin. Okay, maybe that's where it came from.
middle of the fucking ocean.
Oh, it's
bitch.
no, it's the same origin is the same as the second one that you put in.
Oh, it's Ireland.
Yeah. So again, that it was the origin of this letter came from this island, and it's in the header too, and then the origin year, 8100.
That's freaky.
8100. That's fucking crazy.
I can't wait to look up this island.
Oh my God.
Temple of
St.
Apollo
Patty's
is the
Day can't
last
get here
one.
fast enough.
Let me look up this one.
That's
I'm looking them up like I don't know what they are. I'm like, ooh, let me see what this one
Let
is.
me get surprised myself.
Like,
That's really crazy.
it's just like, how on earth did that happen? That's China. How on earth did a man, like, how do you make that up?
Right. How would you make that up?
How
And
do you
why
make
would
that up?
someone
And,
like him?
Because he's went public. He has written books about it. So like, why would he
do
lose
it?
all of his
credit
or,
or
by making up something like this? Like, he's like, yeah, I got my fucking notebook here. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, like-
and there are pictures of his notebook online. And also, I do want to mention here that the plea for, marking this as like a real UFO site, they made it a tourist attraction. There's a real triangle. It's called like UFO Trail.
Okay.
And they like replicated the ship.
Really, to be a triple
SSI, like, you're gonna do that.
you're gonna do that there? I thought it was
Like,
protected.
right.
But weird that it is a triple SI and that
So weird.
Yeah, that's really weird. Okay, the thing that I told you remind me to come back to, the ancient Egypt thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you guys follow Tani or Tani Tani Caesar on TikTok, but love
don't think I
her.
do.
She talks like all about like I think she's not an architect. What is she? Archaeologist or science history person, but she like loves ancient Egypt and she like follows the like current day excavations going on. And she made a video on August 11th that I saved back then. Like, I guess I just kept to myself and never sent to anybody. But it
Stingy
says
bitch.
new ancient space info unlocked. Mesopotamia, often called the cradle of civilization, was one place for human society development, located between the Tigris and whatever. But basically, in houses back in ancient Egypt, they had these like walls that they would. It's kind of like their cork boards where they wrote down like what they have to do that day, what happened that day, and you would just write all over your walls to record like what the happenings are. And there would be like kind of like tablets, like you would get tablets and you would fill them out like journals and stuff. And as they've been doing these excavations on these places, they've been finding all of these in the homes, and you get like a look into the daily life of someone at that point in time, which is crazy.
That is crazy.
And
first I went up and I videoed my Get Ready With Me.
Literally, that's basically, they're talking about like what they made for dinner and like what they did that day and what time it is that they're writing this down, or anything that was big in the news. Like, they literally wrote down everything. I don't know if they just like didn't know the language or whatever it was, but it's a big deal that someone figured out how to translate this stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And basically what they learned from translating all of these different home logs, is what I'm going to call them, these house logs, was that the average everyday person, like all the way up to the temples down to like the smallest housing and stuff, these people had incredible knowledge on the sky, on like, mythological things, but like real science and real math and like stuff that's even too advanced for us today. And it just like, basically it makes you realize like these people were highly educated, like as a civilization. In all, it wasn't like it was just the people at the top, like we've seen in many.
These people were fucking smart.
Yeah, these people were fucking smart and they were educated and they had a lot of research on stuff. But the craziest part is like the shit that they're talking about, none of us know what they're talking about, because all this shit that they're referring to, like machines and instances, they have no record of. They have no idea what it is, but they are equating it to like modern day math and science and
That's crazy.
understanding. They're learning a lot more, and that is a terrible little concise breakdown of what this was. But
Also makes us feel like idiots.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do we not know what they're? You know what I mean?
Let me watch it really quickly with you so you can see. Cuneiform. We've talked about that before. Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Day-to-day life.
Yeah, like so we just watch it. It's like day-to-day life. It was advanced geometry and mathematics that prior to translating and like getting all of these clean, because it's kind of the old, I think she said this is now going to be the oldest recorded
Cuneiform.
Yeah, cuneiform has ever been discovered by just the everyday person. And they thought that the mathematics and the geometry and advanced shit that they were talking about in these recordings didn't come until the Renaissance era. So that just already...
Renaissance.
Renaissance is what she calls them. Renaissance. Yeah. I think she's like Australian, right?
But she also said like we have like the oldest cheese, the first 1-star review. When mothers were angry that their daughters went out and married a merchant.
They're literally journals of these people's like everyday lives from thousands and thousands of years ago. And then she talks about like the writings about how these people were recording like in their everyday homes, like everyday people, they're tracking of Jupiter and other like celestial bodies and stuff. And like they had horoscopes written down on there of like what they knew from in the sky. I mean, it's crazy the detail that they have uncovered. And what's wild, the most wild thing to me is like, why did we go back? You know, like why did we
downgrade?
But then when the reason it made me think of it is because when, let's say this is from the future, let's not, you know, maybe it's not from an alien or whatever,
just future people
checking in a
Tesla,
learning to send shit back. Yeah, and maybe they just knew like, okay, we know that we have 2 Air Force bases in this area that are both U.S. and Royal Air Force. We can go there and we will be recorded. Like someone will have to go investigate it. And there's 2. So if we are off a little bit, we have a better shot at landing on one.
Right. And there's even that third one that was 40 miles north.
Exactly.
Well, I didn't talk about that, but
yeah, there was another one. Yeah. So it would make sense if it did come from the future. And what that tells me is like, okay, it seems like we're doing pretty good.
Right.
You know, maybe we killed the Earth and that's why we're coming back. But like
they're alive.
They're alive and they're sending binary code, which is crazy to think that like binary code is now so embedded because of how it runs everything. Binary code runs computers, phones.
Well, and then they also have to use a code that they know that we would be able to pick up on in this age.
In that timeline that they would have hit it. So it does make sense.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
It does make even more sense why the U.S., if this was someone from the U.S. coming to drop this.
They're like, we don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, they keep it low key. Because they know that we'll turn it into a Roswell.
Right.
And you can't
and here
do that.
We are
and
turning it into
here
a Roswell.
We are, and they would be right. And they would be
right.
correct. They did hit that nail on the head. But anyways, that shit's crazy.
It is crazy. I hope it made sense. I know it was kind of all over the place, but...
And I did join in and really fucked.
I feel like you get the gist.
Yeah. I think you guys understand what we're talking about. Just a reminder, if you didn't do it the second that you heard it, go over to Susan_AWNHT, Angel Wings and Healing Things, to get a part of that giveaway. And guys, you know how we normally do the last 3 weeks of September as creepy accounts? Because you didn't get a crime case from me, now you're only gonna have 2.
So bad.
I really feel really bad.
So she gonna do some notes.
I'm gonna do something. I'll do a biggin next week.
A biggin.
We'll blow it out for season 4 and
then that's it.
And then
you're wrapping us up, baby.
I'm wrapping it up before we start the creepy accounts, and those will probably
it was a trifecta. I should give you the book in my car that one of our listeners gave me that has the haunted serial killer house.
Oh my god, we should do that. No, let's save that for spooky season when we're in it. Guys, we're so close. The creepy account episodes will not be on camera because at that point in time the studio will be gone.
Be demolished.
So next week you will be the last time you see her. So blow her a kiss and tell her
I could rip this down.
Who's excited to see no curtains? Me. Yeah. All right, Patreon, we're coming over to you with your piping hot goss.
Love you, bye.
Love you, bye.